about to talk about, which is the 1890s airship wave.
The airships.
The airships of 1890s. It was a very famous case in Sacramento, California. It was reported by an inventor's attorney. So also another person who is educated
or
in the law, right? And his name was George D. Collins. And in the Call, which is the Sacramento newspaper. There's an etching, because they did etchings for the newspapers back in those days.
Etching.
What's interesting about this illustration here is it looks like it's football shaped, possibly. It has two wings, a tail section, and then it has two spotlights, it looks like, or two lights. They're shining out, one in the front and one on the bottom. And there were a lot of people who saw this. And so the story caught on, and it spread across the United States. And it was in some other newspapers as well, front page. And what's interesting is the drawings from the other newspapers, they're all different. Even though it's the same account, it's based on whatever that artist's imagination was, I suppose. But what's interesting is they all have a light. They all have a
light emission.
Right. They all have a light on them. They all have a fuselage that is kind of football shaped or fuselage shaped. They have wings. They have tails. They have propellers. And the really interesting thing is that some of the men who saw this airship reported that they saw the occupants on board, and that they could overhear those occupants in conversation. So it was either very close to them, or the machine didn't make much noise.
Yeah.
So that they were able to hear them, or maybe the occupants of these things were yelling at each other because the engines were loud. We don't know. We weren't there. There wasn't a lot of technology, especially for getting into the sky in those days.
Well, so imagine seeing something like this and trying to describe it with what you have as a.
So this was in the 1890s. So you know when the balloon was invented?
Yeah, by the
It was invented by the French, correct?
The Montgolfier brothers. All right, so they developed the hot air balloon in 1782
to 84. They were doing experiments.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was actually a pretty balloon. I mean, it had ropes, you had decorations, and it was
right. So that was invented before this sighting.
Right.
So it possibly could have been a balloon.
It could.
It could have been a balloon.
It could be a balloon test that just empty that goes.
They could have had lights on it. Lanterns, and because it's a balloon, there's no sound, and you would hear the people talking
and going back and forth.
Right. The people who witnessed this said it was very unusual for, they've never seen anything like it. I did a little bit of research, and I noticed that there were patents back at that same time period. Like in 1874, I have one patent here, another one in 1894, and these are both before this incident occurred.
Well, when you think about it, like 1870, 80, 90, it's all the beginning, the Industrial Revolution. Yeah. It's the big, it's when everything started, really. So I'm not surprised of all those patent and people getting excited about the new technology, the new,
But also during that time period, there was no TV, no radio.
No.
So a lot of people read books.
Read or drew, or
a lot of people read science fiction.
Right.
And it's the description of this aircraft is very Jules Verne. Or you say it. You sound
Jules Verne.
Sounds so much better when he says it.
Verne. Yeah, Jules. Trip to the moon.
Right.
Using magnetism to for the anti-gravity, which is pretty smart for the time.
Yeah, exactly. So he knew a little bit about science. Yeah. Doing this research, I ran across this photo from April 16th, 1897, there was a mystery airship that landed in Waterloo, Iowa.
In Iowa. Wow. So
Yeah, in Iowa.
there's also, well, that was 1868. I was reading there's a airship sighting in Copiapo in Chile also.
Oh, really?
Maybe, I don't know if it's the same one. I mean, I don't know.
I think a lot of people were experimenting with
Yeah.
zeppelins and balloons and things
I
like
think
that back
so.
in those. In this photograph here, what's very interesting is you can tell that it's man-made.
Of course, yeah.
It's definitely man-made.
That lantern.
Yeah, it has a lantern on the front. It has two football-shaped balloons and a canopy in the center. It looks like the canopy got crushed. And judging by the gentleman who's standing next to it, we're guessing he's 6 feet tall?
Yeah, maybe
Something like that,
it-
maybe.
It looks pretty tall.
So the object is probably 7 feet tall
5
and maybe
feet, yeah.
15 feet across, and I'm guessing 15 feet square on its central axis, based on the rope line that's surrounding this object.
it's funny. That's what I was looking at. They roped the object.
Yeah, they roped it off like a police line.
Right.
Right.
Do not cross.
Yeah, it's a very interesting photograph. But you can tell it's very
Yeah,
rudimentary.
because even the materials are
Yeah,
really
the materials are
from the time.
But for the time,
for the time, it's
if you've never seen anything like that,
No,
it
of
could have
course.
been.
the design itself
you know-
is a really avant-garde, but
Yeah, exactly. Even now, it's avant-garde.
yeah,
It doesn't look very pretty, as far as design goes.
It's that oil lamp in front.
Right, right.
Well, that candle light. I don't know what this is.
Who knows? It could be a candle. Look.
Yeah,
Right here.
I see in the middle of the little
Yeah,
candle.
it could be a candle. Who knows?
They found this just like in a field like this. It was
Yeah, it just came down.
just came down. Wow.
So if you or someone you know has some evidence,
Stories, evidence,
photographs, hard evidence,
right,
we're willing to hear what you have to say and what you might have to show.
right. And I think that's pretty much it.
Thank you very
Right.
much, and
Thank
and
you.
check back and see our next episode.
And we're doing the stupid
Don't
thing.
forget to
Don't
subscribe.
forget to subscribe,
Please. And leave a comment.
leave a nice comment.
Thank
a
you.
nice one.